Hi, I'm Kathy Lindsay, and this is Meet the Candidates. This is Cable 10's program that allows you, the viewer, to hear directly from our candidates. And we have gathered questions from the community, and now we get to hear from our local candidates about how they feel about the issues that are important to us. So this is all leading up to the primary election, which is May 17th. Today's guest, we have Tracy Hopper, and she is running for jailer here in Franklin County. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so glad that you took the time to be with us. I know our viewers want to hear from you. So why don't we just start out by you telling us about yourself and why you've chosen to run for jailer.
Okay. My name is Tracy Hopper. This is not the first time that I've ran for jailer. My passion to serve this community has never wavered. I've never waffled about what I want to do. I am committed to Franklin County. My reason for wanting to run for jailer is I love Franklin County. I love the community that I live in. I love the community that I work in. I have seen over the years the issue that I think everyone nationwide, I know everyone nationwide is plagued with, and that's our substance abuse and mental health issues. I think it's time that we look at things differently from a jail perspective. And through my vision of looking differently through that lens, I want to bring to the table and be a part of a collaboration of being a resolution to this drug epidemic. We can put together these substance abuse programs, but if we're not working the program from start to finish, then we're doing a disservice to the county and to the community. This has to be a deliberate collaboration. We have to collaborate as far as law enforcement, through the judges, through pretrial services. We also have to collaborate after the fact. My experience at the jail has put me in a leadership position there.
Can we talk about that for just a minute?
Sure.
I want to talk about, again, with the rehabilitation efforts and stuff like that. I have that in questions coming up. Let's back up just a little bit for people who may not have who may not know you or have been here when you've run before. But tell people about your experience and what you think makes you qualify to be the jailer.
When I left high school, Western Hills High School, I started working at the Franklin County Regional Jail as an office assistant, and we were still in Catfish Alley. So I was there when the doors opened there on Coffee Tree Road. I seen the way that the program was ran from both sides. When I turned 21 years old, I moved to the secured side of the facility. By the time I was 23, I was promoted and I was a supervisor over a shift, over 300 inmates. And for 14 to 16 hours a day, I was in charge of a $6.5 million facility.
That seems like a big feat, especially, I have to say, it's before female.
Before,
in that industry.
It was right around in the 80s when female correctional officers were introduced into the Department of Corrections. Being elected, I will be the first elected female jailer here in Franklin County. And so my experience at the jail, I left when I was raising a family. I can remember my husband having to bring my children up to the jail sometimes, and we would cross paths there going to work. After that, I worked for the Administrative Office of the Courts. I worked in records, research, and statistics. I was promoted to a supervisor position out there, and under a year, I was transferred to research and development. We developed the automated record service that we now know as AOC's Fast Check. I worked through technology services. I was a liaison to get our records automated now through the state. And after that, I went to pretrial services, worked for pretrial services for 6 years, worked in the court system, worked with judges in Franklin, Woodford, Scott County. There were times we would have to travel. So I can truly tell you I have worked from Pikeville to Paducah through Administrative Office of the Courts. I've seen a lot of things in the court system. I've seen a lot of things that work. I've seen a lot of things that don't work. My experience through the Administrative Office of the Courts also brings me here to this chair, knowing what my vision is for the jail and our part in this collaboration with the community. You know, we have to, this is so much bigger than you and I are in this county. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to collaborate with law enforcement. You know, we have to meet with the families. The jail offers a unique possibility, and it has never been utilized like this before. I have already made up a proposal to send to our district judges about opening a county probation, and that is similar to a private probation, but if we'll be cutting out the middleman of like what a private probation would do. If you don't, you know, for those that don't understand, when someone is processed into jail, we meet with law enforcement. We see a law enforcement officer, have a conversation with them, talk about what we do, you know, or what the defendant has done to get there. We need to be deliberate in sharing information with pretrial services, and then pretrial services be able to share this information. I know there are HIPAA rights, but this is something that we could build a database, and this is something in records and research that I have experience in having done, that we can do this. We can be deliberate in this collaboration to where we know the judges are getting the information that they need.
Well, you've talked about all the different experience that you have throughout different parts of the system. So what do you see as the role of the jailer, and how is all of that experience going to help you be a better jailer?
Right. So with all of my experience, I would like to be at the table every time we sit down to collaborate. I have had the pleasure of sitting down at the table with drug court when I work for the pretrial services. I want to make sure that I am sitting at all of these tables as the jailer. I want to be visible to our staff. That's important, you know, that the jailer is there, they are visible. But I also want to be visible in the community. I would like for them to understand something that we haven't talked about in such a long time, the jail. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like we have neglected what really happens at the jail and what the process is. You know, unfortunately, probably in the last 2 years, I think is what I read, over 20 million Americans ages 11 and over have been in some type of substance abuse or mental health care. We can't blame all of this on COVID, mm-hmm. But we can blame a good deal of it on COVID. But we need to, I want to be the person in the forefront leading the charge, you know, with my experience and my passion to do this, and say, here's what the jail has to offer. Here's where we fit in this collaboration. And being the jailer, I want to be the person, because I have the experience, to make these contacts. And day one, you know, I'm prepared to hit the ground running.
Yeah. Well, lots of experience in different, like I said, areas of the system that qualify you for this position, put you in a good place to be in this position. But I want to turn it just a little bit and ask you, what personal characteristics do you possess that you think make you great for the job?
Okay. I don't want this to be like sitting at Oprah's chair and start, you're not going to make me cry. I right now I'm working as a special education and instructional aide at Bondart Middle School. Casey Sparrow hired me back when I ran for office the first time, and seeing the effects that this has on our youth. We have children that statistics shows, and I'm not going to say in our school, that already are experimenting, and I'm just in a middle school, and they're already experimenting with drugs. I see the effects if a child is gone for 2 or 3 days and comes back and says, "Miss Hopper, I'm sorry I was absent 3 days, but my mom is, in jail." So, and I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, and I want to help you. We'll get your work caught up. Personal experiences for me are living this daily, and some of these kids, and he said, well, it's not always bad. He said, because at least me and my grandma say, at least if she's in jail, we know she's alive. And that's sad. That's, that really tears at me. But just a love for this community, a love for wanting to see and wanting to be a part of something that's bigger than all of us and say that I made a difference.
That's good. How do you define integrity? And share a time with us when you showed integrity.
Okay, integrity to me is doing the right thing, even when no one's looking. I experienced having to testify in court. It was not a very popular case at all, but I felt like I knew that I had to. An attorney had reached out to me and asked me to testify on behalf of someone, and I knew this person. No investigator had ever came and interviewed me and asked me, anything about the situation. And I went and I testified, and I stood up for what was right. May not have been the most popular thing to have done. And I feel like a lot of people would rather say, I just don't want to get involved. To me, that doesn't show good character. And I've heard 2 different sides of me doing what I did, but at the end of the day, I felt really good about what I had done.
Okay. What do you think is the biggest issue that the jail's facing right now? And how would you address it if elected?
It would be the way we look at drug addiction, the way that we operate programs. I would like to say the population of the jail. I would never be a jailer that tells you that I would get in this business to make money. That's not the place. We want to start preventing recidivism. We want to, make sure that people aren't coming back. So one of the biggest problems I see is having a vision coming out of COVID, what we did during COVID. And, I feel like that, maybe we could do a little better. If we build these programs, the fact is, before COVID even started, and again, this is not my first race, so I do my homework, population started going down before COVID hit. So we have to have the programs. The state pays close to $32 a day to house state inmates there. Class D felons, I think, is $34. But if we have a SAP program, which is a substance abuse programs, if we have these programs, we could get $9 and more if we have programs that the state is willing to pay for. The state pulled some of their inmates, did not send some of their inmates.
Yeah.
We've been kind of stuck under a dark cloud.
This is getting to my next question, which was, in the past 2 years, the inmates and the staff at the jail have been dealing with COVID. And how has this affected the jail population and employee retention? Do you see a need to address staffing issues in order to be more effective at the jail?
So only through information that someone, people that work there have, said this was their concern, and what would I do if I were to be elected? Their concern was the working conditions, the hygiene of the inmates, the cleanliness of the jail. That was some of their issues. Those definitely, we're looking at a jail that's over 30 years old, and we have to continuously put money in, but we have to do that until we're ready to build these programs, generate some some revenues, and look toward building a new jail. So staffing, yes, they absolutely deserve more money than what they're getting. I know they got a $1 raise. Everyone in the county got a raise. It wasn't just the jail staff. Everyone in the county got a raise, well deserved, through COVID. I think that they should be paid more. I think that we should come together and we should decide. There are 3 different options of shift work, and you want to put your officers back at home with their family. They need to recharge. And we used to run a shift. It was, an A-B shift, and there were times that you would have 4 days in a row off. So it was nice, and that happened once a month, and then twice a month they would have a weekend off. These officers need to have a home life too, and a family life. Okay. So those would be some of the things I want to address first. Okay. I need to make them happy.
Sure.
Yep.
So you talked about programs that need to be put in place. So what kind of innovative program are you thinking to implement? And and we're talking about programs that could increase revenue, impact recidivism. I can't say it.
Recidivism.
Education and training programs, things like that. Are you looking at working with KSU or state and local government, BCTC, things like that?
Yes. Those are all programs that we envision being there. As far, if a high school student leaves and has went to the vocational school at Franklin County High School, they can leave. My son left and he was a certified welder. If we need to start being able to offer vocational for these, the inmates that are in there for long term. If they have a Class D felon, if they're in that program, we have to have these programs. We have to have continuing education programs. We have offenders that leave the juvenile and the juvenile detention center in Fayette County and come to us, at 1201. So we have to make sure, we need to make sure that we are, coordinating with the principal that's there at the juvenile detention center at Advance. We need to make sure that we are working together with them and say, hey, where were they at in their education? We need to make sure that we continue that. The programs, the substance abuse programs that's very, very important. And that includes the families, that includes the communities. And then we have to have a process. No one is saying they want to move someone out of Franklin County, but if it would help them to do things differently and start a different lifestyle, maybe that would be something that they could look at. Is there another location? Because a lot of times when people are released out that back door, they only have one way of life that they know, and we need to look at things differently. And the programs that we could support, that the community could support, they're there. There are the administrative office of the courts are they're laying out guidelines for this. There's grant money, there's funding to be done for this. And I understand when a grant dries up that we're going to have to look for something else. But if we're building programs and revenue happens to come with these programs, I am not ever going to be a jailer that's looking to make the money. But if that happens, and it will, we will have the higher per diem. We will have a standing room only, for state inmates, wanting to come to our program because it's going to be so good. top dollar will be paid to the Franklin County Jail. We could be back operating in the black and handing back money to fiscal court. That's my goal, is always to hand back money, to save money. You know, and if we turn revenue, that's fantastic. But saving the tax dollars right now, you know, that's got to be important to us. You know, I've looked at something, and I've been talking with someone that's in Iowa. You know, we are the only state that has an elected jailer. So,
really?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we're the only state that has an elected jailer. So the sheriff's office usually runs the jails. So I spoke with someone out there, and they said we cut our per diem. We cut the cost of housing an inmate from $31 to $3 a day. And I said, oh, let's talk. And so, you know, these are things that we've talked about several times, and it's amazing to me if we really work hard, and that's what I want to do for Franklin County. I really want to work hard for you, and I want to make sure that I'm saving tax dollars and I'm turning money back in.
Well, if you have money, and you've talked about, you know, having it for programs for the inmates, have you looked into, are there any programs that you would want to put in place or training for the staff that might be important?
Yes. So when I started at the jail, we would go to the Department of Corrections, and I know we had money then, and things were different. We went to our training, and it was a 5-day. We stayed at Shelby campus there at the University of Louisville, and we did our training there. And it was pretty intense, and everyone left everyone left and had no doubt about what their job expectations were. I think we need to work a little more on working with a new hire. You are a special person to work as a correctional officer, a deputy jailer. You are a special person to do that job. You're right in there with a middle school teacher to go out to do that job. So training is very, very important, and I know they have a training officer there now, but we need to make sure that we are keeping up with what they're doing. Things are changing. We're not in the same times that we were 10 years ago.
Right. So all of this, you know, new programming, and you want to have good things happening at the jail, what would you do to better communicate? Because a lot of people don't know things that are happening at the jail, and it's important that communications is happening, you know, not only, you know, with the fiscal court and, you know, with those who oversee, but also just with the public to let them know what's going on. So how would you make sure that happens?
So transparency has always been important to me. Transparency has been on the forefront. So during fiscal court meetings, I would like to be invited, you know, at least quarterly, and I would like to give a report to fiscal court. I would like for that to be posted on my website, on the Franklin County Jail website, and make sure that everyone knows this is where we're spending our money. These are the programs that are working for us. So that's very important to me, transparency. We don't need to sit up there and hide what we're doing, or maybe not hide what we're doing, just not being forthcoming with what we're doing up there.
Do you think the jail in the past has been transparent?
No.
Okay.
No.
Any issue in particular?
So it's policy and procedure to, if an inmate escapes, that they notify law enforcement, and that being Kentucky State Police, Frankfort City Police, and the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. And there are a set of houses there at the Franklin County Jail that it is the duty of one of the officers to go and knock on these doors and let them know that we've had an inmate escape, walk off, be released in error. And it was not done until called upon by until the press got a hold of it.
Okay.
And that doesn't show transparency. That doesn't show that we're providing a safe community for Franklin County. You know, things happen, but own it And and then let's make sure that whatever happened then, let's train about that. Let's talk about what we did to allow that to happen more than one occasion.
Okay.
All
Well, we're getting ready to run out of time,
Okay.
and I don't want to go too long because I want to give you a chance to address our viewers directly.
Sure.
And you just talk to them and tell them why you are the best candidate for this position, and be sure to ask for their vote.
Okay. Hello, I am Tracy Hopper, and my experience through the Franklin County Jail, through the court system, and through the school system has given me the leadership and the experience to be the right choice for your next Franklin County jailer. I am asking that on May the 17th, and then 3 days prior to that, for early voting, that you cast a vote for Tracy Hopper for your jailer. I have your best interest, and I will be a good steward of your tax dollars. And you can go to I have a Facebook, Tracy Hopper for Jailer, Tracy Hopper for Jailer, Twitter, Instagram, and follow me on any of those, Tracy. And I have a personal email or a personal Facebook that people contact me at mostly, and feel free to contact me there and I will get you where you need to go. I promise you that if you elect me, I will stay the full 4 years. This office is an elected office and should not be passed on without an election. So if you vote for me, I'm in it for the long haul. I will not leave and have a special election, and I will not leave and pass this on to anyone else. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Tracy, for coming today and spending some time with us. I know our viewers, they appreciate hearing from our candidates, and especially for positions like this, or they may not know a whole lot about it.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity to talk about the things going on at the jail and your vision for how we can improve things.
Thank you, guys. I truly appreciate you.
All right. Well, that is it for this edition of Meet the Candidates. We appreciate Tracy being here. She's a candidate for Franklin County Jailer. And I will encourage you all to get out and vote during the primary on May 17th. And then tune in to Cable 10 for live election returns. It's election season. So let's get informed, everybody, and then go voice your choice. We'll see you next time.